4 years ago, my fiancée and I met through friends we both had. We were at a small get-together when I saw her across the room and said hello. She politely turned down my dinner invitation because she was seeing someone else at the time. After about a month, I got a text message from a number I didn't know. It was her, and she was single and hoped I was still interested. I liked that she reached out. I didn't pine for her or anything while we were apart, but I was really interested in her before I found out she was seeing someone else. We went out and had fun together, and things kept going after that. I asked her to marry me on New Year's Eve in front of all our friends. I knew that a lot of people looked up to our relationship because it was so beautiful. I believed I had found my true love. Kate was my fiancée's best friend, and she was always at her place. Kate and I got along well, so I didn't mind most of the time. She was very important to my fiancé, so I wasn't going to say or do anything that would make her mad. The person I'm going to marry was also close with Kate's family. It was in college that she met Kate. Since my fiancé's family lived out of state, Kate would ask her to Thanksgiving, Christmas, and other events. She seemed to fit in with the family right away, from what I hear. I even met Kate's family a few times because they wanted to see if they were okay with me marrying my fiancé. Sometimes it was too much, but I loved my fiancé and got along well with everyone else. Even though Kate's family looked great on the outside, they did have some problems. The man I'm going to marry told me one day that Kate's parents were splitting up. She was mad about it, like they were her own parents splitting up. I must say I thought that was a little strange, but I knew they were all pretty close. When I got home from work one day, my fiancé had packed a bag and was carrying it to the car with Kate. When I asked her what was going on, she said Kate had come over upset, and they were going to her parents' house to make her dad feel better. He seemed to be very upset, and had been badly handling the breakup. She said I didn't have to go with her, I could just hang out at home while she was gone. After we said goodbye, I didn't hear from her again until she came back the next Monday, except for a few texts over the weekend. When I asked her what happened, she didn't want to tell me. When it happened, I didn't give it much thought. I thought she must have had a rough weekend because she was with her family. She told me it was hard to see Kate's dad like that. Because I knew she cared about him, I felt bad for her. I hugged her and tried to comfort her that everything happened for a reason and that they were doing the right thing by getting a divorce. It had been a few weeks when my fiancée told me she was going back to her folks' house. It surprised me that she told me that again. I didn't think Kate's dad would have just gone over and seen what was going on, but my fiancée going back over again seemed a bit much. She came back the next Monday and has been texting Kate's dad a lot since then. When I first found out they talked often, it didn't worry me because he was 20 years older than her, and her best friend's dad. I thought she liked me and was just checking in on her friend to make sure everything was okay. I noticed something was wrong when I heard her on the phone with him. I had to go to work, but I forgot my reading glasses at home, so during lunch I ran to get them. I heard her chatting with someone in our bedroom while she was talking to someone else. She was laughing so hard on the other end that she was giggling. For 1 minute, I didn't open the bedroom door to see what was going on. She was in a towel on the bed and talking on the phone. She hung up the phone and asked me why I was there when she saw me. She told me it was Kate's dad when I asked who she was talking to. That caught me off guard because it didn't seem like the right time for her to call him. When I asked what was so funny, she told me a joke that only they really knew. Really, I don't think I would have found it funny even if I knew what was going on. I thought there might be something else going on after seeing that. He seemed to appear out of nowhere and take up a lot of our time. I thought this was a problem after thinking about it. I didn't want to say that my fiancée was having an affair, so I thought I would keep an eye on it. She told me that same weekend that she was going back to Kate's dad's house. She told me that Kate was meeting her there when I asked if Kate was going. When they went on trips, Kate would usually come to her house and drive with her. I thought that was weird. I didn't get why they weren't pulling that off again. Again, my doubts were raised. I held my tongue and told her to be careful while I thought about what I should do. Somehow, I felt like I had to show that their relationship was more than just friendly, but I didn't know how. I don't think my fiancée used social media very much. She texted and brought her phone with her everywhere you went. I had never been to Kate's parents' house before, so I didn't know how to find her while she was there. I got the idea that my fiancée wouldn't have told Kate she was going to do something with Kate's dad if she was. That could mean Kate was still at her house. I quickly took my keys and drove over. I saw her car in the driveway, which was a bad sign. That alone made me even more sure of what I already thought. Then I knocked on the door while I thought about what I was going to say. My fiancée told her that I was meant to be at my parents' house that weekend, so she was surprised to see me. My fiancée lied to us both so she could do something by herself. Kate and I talked about everything I knew about her going to her dad's house. When I said that, Kate looked really mad. She told me that she told my fiancé not to see him anymore, which made me wonder why she was so mad. She thought there was something going on between them and didn't want my fiancé to end her relationship with me. Besides that, she didn't want her best friend to be rough with her dad. She told me we had to go find out what was going on for ourselves. I went with her to his house and was nervous about what we would both find when we got there. When we got there and saw my fiancé's car in the driveway, Kate yelled and got out of her car. She was able to get in with the key, so she let us in. There were lights lit and wine glasses on the table, so we knew something was going on. In the bedroom, we could hear music. Kate asked me to go in because she didn't want to see her dad having sex. I didn't want to see it either, but I did it for the team. When I opened the door, they were in the middle of sleeping together. At first, Kate's dad thought I was an intruder. But Kate yelled from the other room for him to put on his pants and come out to the living room. We waited for them there, and when they were ready, both of them came out to find us. My fiancée looked like she had just been told she had one day to live. She was so upset that I found out about her affair. She begged me not to tell anyone about what she did. She tried to tell me it was a mistake, but it looked like she had been planning it for a while, even though it wasn't happening yet. I told her right then that the wedding wasn't going to happen and asked for the ring back. I also told her that we could not live together anymore. That girl had to leave the house right away. Kate's dad tried to explain, saying that she was there for him and that it just happened. There was nothing about the reason Saul walked into that house that made it look like a mistake. That's why either of them could own up to what they'd done. Kate was very angry with both of them and told them she would never talk to them again. For some reason, I thought it would be easier for her to break up with my fiancé than for her father. I really didn't think she would never talk to him again, but their friendship would change for the worse, which was bad for both of them. Kate and I left in the end and went back to her house. We relaxed and got really drunk that night. During our drink, she told me everything my fiancé had told her about their relationship. It looks like my fiancé was really interested in how safe I could make her feel. She wasn't interested in me because of how I looked, how I behaved, or how much I loved her. She told me I was doing bad and hoped I would run away from my fiancé. I was going to do that, so we broke up, and my fiancé had to leave my house. After that, I don't know where she went. She had a lot of close friends with Kate. Kate was her best friend in the whole world. If she slept with Kate's dad, I'm sure none of them were happy. It was a big breakup for her. Kate and I do talk sometimes, and she told me she doesn't talk to her dad. She's willing to make peace in the future, but a lot of damage has been done, and she needs time to heal. That means he lost all of his family very quickly. OP. Personally, I think your girlfriend liked Kate's dad for a while before they broke up. It's likely that she used how he was feeling as a reason to get close to him. That's why she was so excited to go with Kate when they went to see him. There's no proof that the time they were caught was their first time together, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had hoped that first night when you said she seemed detached. It's great that you and Kate are still friends after going through that. I think she couldn't tell you many of the things she knew because she was best friends with your fiancé while you were together. She did the right thing by telling you the truth about your fiancé when she could. At the very least, making sure you didn't go back with someone bad like that was a nice thing to do. It's not easy to decide to get married, and it's easy to think that this is how all relationships end. However, I hope you can find someone who is honest and won't lie to you again in the future. Let's read the next story now. We've been married for about 15 years. We met at work and quickly realized that we liked being around each other. We chose to go on a date to see if our relationship could grow into something more. We had a great time together, so we decided to go out on dates. After 15 years, we had 2 great kids, a house in the suburbs, a beach house for vacations, and everything else we could want. I thought she was the right partner because she was always there for me when I was upset and did a great job taking care of our kids. We chose to stay at home with our kids because that was what we thought would work best for us. I paid the bills and she took care of the family in every other way. When my wife fell and tore one of the muscles in her knee, things started to go badly for us. She had to put her knee in a brace for a while before she could start physical therapy. Since she couldn't move around as easily, things were a little different at home. But I stepped up and did everything I could to make things as normal as I could. She seemed to value everything I did for her when she was having trouble taking care of herself. It was part of our vows to be together, in sickness and in health, and I meant it. She had to start physical treatment by herself when the time came. At that time, only people who were sick could go into medical offices because of a pandemic. On the other hand, my wife did have a few Zoom meetings with her physical therapist, which is when I met him. He seemed like a nice young man who had just finished and was eager to get more clients. He knew a lot about technology, but I wasn't sure if he had any real-world experience. At first, I wasn't sure about him, but after her first lesson with him in person, my wife raved about him. It didn't matter to me if she was happy with him. What she thought was the only thing that counted since she was in therapy. Before she could walk around without a brace, she had to go to physical therapy for a few weeks. She had promised to do it for a long time, and I knew the pain had made her nervous. But we were all so happy to get things back to normal. Just when I thought things were going to get better, she told me she had to go to therapy for a few more weeks. It was clear that she was getting better, but the physical therapist didn't think it would be best for her to remove the brace completely. It was making me a little angry. I wasn't sure why it was taking so long, but I wasn't an expert either. Besides that, my wife told me that her treatment time had changed. Most of the time, she did it when I wasn't working so I could drive her there and back. It changed times in the middle of the day, when I was at work. She told me that I wouldn't have to worry about driving since she was feeling so much better. A lot of small changes were making me mad, but I didn't think she was sleeping with her physical therapist. Because I was a good husband, I skipped lunch one day to go check on her at the physical therapy office. While she was in the back, I was able to wait in the waiting room. The front desk worker knew I was there for my wife because I checked in. After I sat down for a while, the front desk worker asked if I had the right meeting time. My wife had a meeting with the physical therapist, so I told her that she should have been back there already. The front desk worker told me that the therapist I had asked about was out for lunch, so I must have called at the wrong time. It seemed very strange to me. I had no idea my wife would be cheating on me. I thought about it and tried to figure out how it could make sense. When I got home, I didn't think she would be there at all, but her car was in the garage. When I saw that her car was at home, I felt a little better. That could mean that she changed or canceled her therapy session. When I went inside, I saw her having sex with the physical therapist in the kitchen. I was shocked to the core. Now that I think about it, I honestly feel like my soul left my body at that moment. It broke my heart to see it for myself. They didn't even notice I was there for a moment. Then my wife saw me and quickly pushed the physical therapist off of her. I did not know what to say to either of them. I was only sure that I had to leave that place. Right away, I ran to my car and sat there for a moment, not sure what I should do. It wasn't possible for me to go back to work after what I saw. My wife yelled at me to open my car window as she ran out of the house. It took me a moment to roll it down and listen to what she had to say. She swore over and over that it was the first time they had made out. It looked like she just said it, like that made it okay. Slowly putting the puzzle together in my mind, and that didn't make sense with everything else. She moved the time of her treatment to his lunch break. She also ran out of the house without a brace on, which showed that she no longer needed treatment. There was no way she could have told me the truth. I told her I needed some time to think by myself, and then I drove off. I booked a room at a hotel in town, and used that time to think about what I could do. It was impossible for me to be with someone who would cheat on me. After that, I had no trust in our relationship at all. I could only see one choice, and it was an ugly one: get a divorce. I used the internet to find good divorce lawyers and rushed to get the best one before my wife did. She met with me, and we started putting together the papers so that I could give them to my wife right away. The physical therapist who slept with my wife, on the other hand, should have been fired. It was very inappropriate for him to sleep with a patient, and he might have lost his license because of it. I thought that might be wrong because he was new to the business and young, but I wanted to get back at him. I called the office where he worked and told them what happened. After hearing it, they were shocked and told me that he would be dealt with properly. My wife told me about that when I got back to my house and started packing up some of my things. She told him that he could lose his license, which would ruin his whole life, because she was still a patient there. I made her mad because I told the truth to his boss. They were still in touch with each other after everything that happened. It didn't bother me at all. I told her I was divorcing her and packed some things to leave. We did get a divorce in the end, but it was a mess. We had a prenuptial deal that said cheating would make a lot of things null and void, so she ended up with nothing. I had to keep the house, both cars, and most of our other things. Since I was taking care of the kids, I didn't have to pay her any child or spousal support. I was in charge of the kids, and she could come see them sometimes. Her whole life was a mess because she liked her physical therapist, and he liked her too. I hope in the end it was worth it for them. The original poster made it sound like you had a lot of faith in your wife, but she broke that trust totally. It's always sad to hear someone try to explain away what's going on because they trust their partner so much. Your wife took advantage of how nice you were. I hope the physical therapist does lose his license because having a sexual relationship with a patient is wrong and breaks trust. Because she slept with him, it's annoying that your wife thinks you could lose his license. They would be the only ones to blame. Thanks to everyone who came to listen to the stories today. If you liked what you heard, please like and follow if you haven't already. Feel free to share your ideas on what happened below as well. Feel free to get in touch with me if you have a story you'd like to tell me about your or someone else's case. Be careful. Thanks a lot.